Hi, and welcome back to our EZPOG tutorial series. In this tutorial, I will be covering how to build and edit a planogram. As you can see, I'm already logged into EZPOG, so I'm going to select Create POG and click Next. In order to build a planogram, we'll start in our selection panel with our first dropdown and select Section. You'll see that the section details appear in the action panel below. Here you can change any of the section's properties, and you'll find details including overall size, base size, color, name, and various places to add additional descriptive details. All of this information can be changed at any time once you click on your section. Once I'm happy with my section, I can simply drag and drop it onto my canvas. If you'd like to add multiple segments to your section, you can do this with our segment settings, which is located in the Settings dropdown. Here I can add an additional segment and adjust its size and even add a frame. Once I click OK, you'll now see two segments separated by a dotted line. Clicking the Refresh Fit Screen option on the icon menu will fit your whole planogram to your screen at any point. Now I can click on my section and adjust the base size to match my two-segment planogram. Now I can add fixtures to my planogram by returning to the selection panel and selecting Fixture from the drop-down menu. This opens a second menu where you can select the type of fixture you'd like to add. Today I'll be adding both a shelf and a pegboard. We'll start with our shelf. Similar to the section, you'll see the fixture details appear in the action panel. A few items of note for shelves are product placement and merge height. Product placement will determine how the products are placed on the shelf, whether aligned to one side or spread evenly. Merge height will be the default height that products are stacked to when added to a planogram. This can be manually adjusted at any point, but the merge height will determine the default height when you add a new product. For now, I'm going to change this to 12 inches. Now I can drag and drop my shelf onto my section. I can then click on it and move it around wherever I'd like it to be. I can also move it around more precisely using the X, Y, and Z coordinates located above. The X-axis controls the placement from left to right and uses the left edge of the planogram as a zero reference. The Y-axis controls the placement from bottom to top, and the Z-axis controls placement from front to back. When changing the placement using these axis points, remember to hit Enter after each entry. You can also use F and I to abbreviate feet and inches. If I wanted to place the shelf at 2.5 feet high and against the left edge of the planogram, I would make my X 0 and my Y 2F 6I, pressing Enter after each entry. Now I'll return to my selection panel and change the fixture option to pegboard. Then I can drag and drop it onto my planogram the same way I did with my shelf. This pegboard's a little too large for my planogram today, so I can return to the action panel and change its size. And then I can adjust its coordinates with my X and Y axis. Perfect. Now I'm ready to save my file so I can access it later, either to finish my work or use it as a blank template so I don't have to rebuild from scratch. To do so, I will go to the File menu and select Save As. I can choose to save to any available folder or create a new folder with the New Folder button. Then I can add a file name and a description to this file to make it easier to find in the future. I can even give special permissions to this file if there are other users in my workgroup. Read Write All allows anyone in the workgroup to open or modify a file. Read Only allows anyone to open and view the file, but anyone other than myself would have to save a copy to save changes. A private file will only be able to be seen by the user who created it. Once we give our file a name, I can click OK and my file will be saved. Now we can move on to merchandising. To add a product to a planogram, I can go to the selection panel and select product. I can then use this next drop-down menu to search through categories to find my product, or use the search bar to search for all or part of product information. You can search by a UPC number, by all or part of a name. Any piece of data that's been loaded into EZPOG can be searched here. In this instance, I'm going to search for Post-it and press Enter. Now I can click on these items that I'd like to add. Once I find one I want to put on my shelf or my pegboard, I again am going to drag and drop. A pegged item is going to lock and snap to the nearest peg hole. Great. Now I can move on to some shelved items. Again, I can click and drag and drop them onto the shelf. You'll see they stack by default to that merchandise height. But I can come back at any point and change the number of facings in my action panel. Facings wide can also be changed a little more quickly by selecting the number of facings wide you'd like on your keyboard. So in this instance, I can select 2 to have 2 facings wide. Facings high and facings deep will need to be changed in the action panel. If I'd like to move product around, I simply click on the product, drag, and drop it where I'd like it to be. On a shelf, you'll see a black arrow. It's going to show you where the product will be dropped. And again, a pegboard item will snap to the nearest peg hole. The default orientation of products is a front view. We'll turn on our images so we can get a look at some of the different orientation options that we have. You can find the orientation option for this product in our action panel. And I can change that to a different orientation to maximize the space on my shelf or accurately represent how it would look in a store. So for instance, I could change this to a top view if that's how it's merchandised on those shelves. You also have the option to nest or cap products if that is how they are merchandised in your store. If I turn my images off, you'll see by default the UPC code is what's displayed as the label on these boxes. I can change that by going to my Settings dropdown and selecting Label Options. In the Planogram Preference tab, you can choose to display up to 5 labels on a box and can display both attribute and performance data that's been loaded into EZPOG. In this menu, you can also adjust various settings and select which performance table data you'd like to use if you have any loaded. If we click on our Application Preference tab, you can change location ID orders, fonts, and units of measure. The Product Search Preference tab allows you to change the column headers when searching for products. Now you have all the tools you need to build, merchandise, and edit your planograms. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Please visit ezpog.com for more information or email us at info@ezpog.com.